Let's be honest, the original Subaru Solterra was kind of a tough sell. It was very expensive at launch, and it was basically the car equivalent of one of those LinkedIn thought leaders. But flash forward, it now seems as if Subaru has actually read the comment sections. The 2026 Solterra is a whole new animal. Compared to the outgoing one, the new Solterra offers a range improvement of 60 miles, dramatically improved charging speeds with a NACS connector, up to 123 more horsepower, yet somehow the price is $6,000 cheaper than it was in 2023. In today's video, we're going to explore the 2026 Subaru Solterra to see just how far this electric crossover has come. Before we start today's video, my name is Andrew Lambrecht. I'm a project engineer here at Ever, and I'm also a contributor at Inside EVs and Business Insider covering electric cars. If you're new to the channel, we are Ever, America's largest independent EV store. If you're looking at selling your current EV, visit evercars.com to get a cash offer within minutes. That is evercars.com. Now let's check out the Subaru Solterra. The 2026 model year brings many changes to the Solterra, and the most discernible of which are on the exterior. Subaru updated the front end with new LED headlights and a simpler front fascia. The traditional Subaru badge has been ditched for an illuminated logo which comes standard on all trims. Moving to the side, Subaru replaced the obtrusive plastic cladding with either black or body-colored wheel arches. Around back, the logo disappears in favor of a Subaru script written across the liftgate between the taillights. Despite the refresh, its core dimensions remain the same. It still measures in at 184.6 inches long, positioning itself right between the RAV4 and Tesla Model Y. You still get 8.3 inches of ground clearance, and Subaru says you can drive it through 19.7 inches of water. Angles remain decent for the class, an okay 18-degree approach angle, and an impressive 25-degree departure angle. These ground clearance and weight depth ratings alone make the Solterra the most rugged sub-$40,000 EV on the market. In fact, it's currently the only EV in that price range with an official weight depth rating. But the powertrain is where the really big improvements occur. We now get a 74.7 kilowatt-hour battery pack delivering between 278 and 288 miles of range. The charging speeds are also significantly upgraded. AC charging goes from 6.6 kilowatts to now 11 kilowatts, and DC charging now peaks out at 150 kilowatts with a claimed 10 to 80% charge time of 28 minutes. Standard horsepower has been bumped from 215 to 233, and on the more expensive XT trim, you get 338 horsepower, meaning that trim can accelerate to 60 in under 5 seconds. The most important update is pricing. The 2023 Solterra started at $46,200, and now the 2026 is priced at $39,945. Now let's see what the trims have to offer. The 2026 Solterra comes in 5 main trims. The first one is the Premium, and this is the one I'm standing next to. This is the entry-level version, and it starts at $39,945. This one makes 233 horsepower and offers 288 miles of range. We get a healthy array of standard features, including wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, perforated leatherette seats, heated front seats, a power driver's seat, 2 wireless phone chargers, a power tailgate, and 18-inch alloy wheels. Next up is the Limited, which starts at $42,845. This one makes the same amount of power as the Premium, but since it comes with 20-inch alloy wheels, range is reduced to 278 miles. The Limited features a Harman Kardon sound system, a 360-degree camera, heated rear seats, a heated steering wheel, a power passenger seat, and Subaru's digital key. If you crave more power, then you would like the Limited XT, which starts at $44,345. This one comes with the same features as the regular Limited, but now it makes 338 horsepower, delivering a 0 to 60 time of under 5 seconds. Second to last is the Touring XT, which starts at $47,000. This one has the same 338 horsepower powertrain with a 278-mile range, but now we get ventilated front seats, a panoramic glass roof, and a digital rear view mirror. And finally, there is the Touring XT with leather, which starts at $300 more than the regular Touring XT, and this one just adds on leather seats. It's safe to say the pricing and specs alone are a huge improvement over the outgoing Solterras. In terms of cargo volume, the Subaru Solterra has 23.8 cubic feet behind the second row, and if you fold the second row, then you get 63.5 cubic feet of space. And the nice thing here is that we get a power liftgate as standard across all trims. It's actually not bad back here. And around front, there is no front trunk. How flaccid. The back seats in the Solterra are very nice. In fact, on this base model, we get the perforated leatherette seating, and it just feels really nice. We also get a center armrest back here with 2 cup holders. There are 2 AC vents, and we get 2 USB-C ports. I really appreciate the black headliner, which makes this car look a little more sporty. But my favorite thing in the back seats is the sheer amount of space. I have this driver's seat in the position I would normally sit in, and I have plenty of room back here. We also have a relatively flat floor area. It's not completely flat like what you would get in a Mach-E or Model Y. There is a small bump, but it's really not that significant. And even if you sit in the middle seat, you still have plenty of space. The materials back here are all right. We have some soft touch materials on this door panel. There are a lot of plastics on the lower side, but I'd say generally this interior is very nice for an entry-level trim. Up front, Subaru has made a lot of meaningful changes to the Solterra that have improved the ergonomics in the cabin. The first one is the center console design. The old one had one wireless charger pad, but it was covered up by this lid. It was very weird. And now we just get 2 wireless phone chargers that are very easy to access, and they do a great job of charging your phone regardless of the positioning. The second thing is the steering wheel. We now get a hexagonal steering wheel, which really helps the visibility of the gauge cluster. In the old Solterra, we had a circular steering wheel, and that was kind of weird because you could either see your speed or your remaining range and only one of those. And now with the hexagonal wheel, I can easily see everything in the gauge cluster. But there are some weird things that remain the same, and that is the lack of a glove box. There is no glove box in the Solterra. But to make up for that, we do have some additional storage in the center console area, and the center console lid is very unique. You can actually open it from either side, so I can open it from the driver's side or the passenger side. I kind of like that. Standard features include heated front seats. The driver's seat is power adjustable across all trims, and we get a really nice looking 14-inch center display. As standard, we get a 6-speaker audio system, which is fine. Really nothing to write home about that. But if you get any trim besides this base premium, then you will get a Harman Kardon sound system, which is pretty cool. This interior also comes with 2 USB-C ports and a 12-volt power outlet. Other than that, I do like the interior in the new Solterra. These seats are very comfortable, and all the materials that you interact with do feel pretty premium. And now it's time to talk about software. So this is our 14-inch display, and you can see that it is relatively responsive, not too shabby there. And then if we want to plan out a road trip, let's just click here. It makes this awful beeping noise whenever you click on anything, and I haven't found out a way to turn that off. But anyways, say we want to go to Los Angeles, click there. We find our route, and then it creates our route down there. There is unfortunately no EV route planning in this car, which really sucks. So you will have to manually make your own EV road trips in Google Maps or a better route planner. But nevertheless, you can see your route down here. And what's really weird is the font. So like, why is this font right here, Los Angeles? Why is that in Times New Roman? And then we have some other font located down there and a different font for the locations on the map. It's a very weird design choice to have this many different fonts in one screen. Besides that, we have our climate control menu right here. We have these knobs, which are very slow to react. So if I want to increase temperature, you actually really have to look to make sure that the temperature has actually increased, but we can adjust our temperature on the left and right side. We also have our fan speed right here. Not a huge fan of the controls through the screen, though I do appreciate these knobs. They're just a little bit laggy. If you have CarPlay connected, which is wireless by the way, then you can just click up here and then the CarPlay symbol will appear if you want to go through CarPlay, which I have been using for the vast majority of my time in this car. If we click on this little vehicle icon, we can see some stuff related to the battery and charging. We can start a charging schedule right there. We can also precondition the battery. So if you are en route to a fast charger, I really recommend pressing that probably like 15 or 20 minutes before you start charging. We can also see our power balance. We are plugged in right now, so it says charging may take longer because we are consuming power. That makes sense. We also can see our torque distribution, which is pretty cool. Tire pressure, nothing that crazy in this menu. We do have our settings, and here we can adjust some more charging stuff. But unfortunately, it is buried within menus. So if I want to just adjust the charging limits on the car, you have to scroll all the way down to Vehicle Customize, then go down to Charging, click on charging, and then you can adjust the charging current, which is nice. It's nice to adjust the charging current, and then you can adjust the charging limit as well. You can also limit the DC charging power, which is really weird. I've never seen that before. If that's something you want to do, maybe you want your car to charge a little bit slower for some reason, then you can do that. And then there's also battery cooling. The battery is cooled during charging, so I would leave that on. I don't know why you would turn that off. I like that we can adjust the charging current, but it's just kind of weird that it's buried this deep in the menus. There is some cool stuff, like we do have illumination, so we do get ambient lighting as standard in this car. We can adjust the brightness and colors. So if we want to go here, we can change this to, say, orange, and we can give the interior a little different vibe. Oh, finally, there we go. We can turn off the screen beep. It's kind of hidden in this general settings menu, but now we can click around in peace, which is very nice. But overall, not a ton of stuff going on in the center screen. It does look pretty nice, and it is great when you have Apple CarPlay connected. There's some other stuff, like you have a Wi-Fi hotspot, but overall, this is definitely more on the minimalist side when it comes to options and settings. Now, moving over, we have our gauge cluster located right up here. And this is nice. I do like that it shows us our current charge rate up there. We can also see the maximum this car can currently accept. We also have our range with and without climate control. So with climate control 107, without climate control 114. And I think this gauge cluster has a decent amount of information. You can cycle through this by actually pressing on the steering wheel buttons right here. And scrolling down, we can go to some semi-autonomous driving functionality like our adaptive cruise control. If we have traffic jam assist, it will turn on. You can see our music, and you can also see the battery state of health, which I really like. That's a cool thing to have. Not many cars have that, where you can easily access the SOH. Other stuff on this screen includes a power gauge. You can see your speed, your battery charge right there, your miles remaining, and the state of charge. What's really funny is that in the old Solterra, it actually wouldn't tell you your battery percentage, and they had to release a software update just to show you what the battery percentage was on the car. So Subaru has come a long way with their EV settings. Oh, and one final cool thing. So I limited the current down to 16 amps, so this car will charge a little bit slower overnight. And it is showing 2.75 kilowatts coming into the battery pack. And what's really cool is that if you turn on the climate control, so let's just say we turn it on, this number actually refers to the power coming into the battery pack. So if I turn up the climate controls, then that will obviously reduce the current eventually getting to the battery pack, because we are having to use some of that power to fire up the climate control. I mean, it could be coming from the battery as well, but nevertheless, your battery will charge slower since we do have the climate controls currently turned on. And you can see that in real time through this charging menu, which is pretty sweet. I do like that attention to detail. Our steering wheel is located right here, and as you can see, there's a lot going on. It's actually a little overwhelming. I wish it wasn't so chaotic, but we do have stuff like our volume located right here. We got our little buttons here where we can adjust different settings, what we can see in the gauge cluster. And then if we go over to the right, we got all our adaptive cruise and traffic jam assistance stuff right here. There is a button called mode. This actually doesn't affect the drive mode, and if you press it, it just like changes to Apple Music or something, and then the Times New Roman font face pops up. Very odd, but yeah, that is the software experience in the Subaru Solterra. It's nice that we do have charging limits, all that stuff. Just not a lot going on here. No EV route planner, but at least you do have wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. And I guess on this note, one final thing is that we do have a power button. So to turn on the car, turn off, you press the power button. And we got this cool shift knob, which I do like. So to put in drive, you push down and push to the right. And then for reverse, push and twist to the left. I think it works relatively well and seems pretty intuitive. But that is nevertheless the software experience in the Solterra. And now it's time to talk about charging in the 2026 Subaru Solterra. So for this model year, we get a lot of improvements. First of all, there is said to be improved cold weather capabilities when it comes to charging, but the other thing is a bigger battery pack. Now we get a 74.7 kilowatt hour battery that delivers between 278 and 288 miles of range. With my experience driving this Subaru Solterra, the efficiency has actually been really impressive. I've been seeing over 4 miles per kilowatt hour in a mixture of city and highway driving, and I estimate that you should probably get around 275 miles in this base spec configuration. But the real benefit here with the new Solterra are its charging capabilities across the board. First off, we now get a Tesla NACS plug as standard, and you can use this to charge on level 1 or level 2, as well as DC fast charging through superchargers. In other words, it's not that dual charge port scenario that you get in some other EVs like the Nissan Leaf, where it has a J1772 on one side and then a NACS plug on the other. The other improvement is a beefed up onboard charger, which can now supply 11 kilowatts to the battery pack. The outgoing model had a 6.6 kilowatt charger, which was really not that fast. So now you can charge a lot quicker at home. On DC charging, you can charge up to 150 kilowatts, which really isn't that significant, but the charging curve is said to have improved for the 2026 model year, and therefore we are testing it out right now. So we plugged in at around 6%, started the timer once this car reached 10%, and we're gonna measure how long it takes for the Subaru Solterra to go from 10 to 80%. For a basis, Subaru claims it will take this car around 28 to 35 minutes, but we will find out exactly how long it takes today. Right now, it's been about 16 minutes and we are already at 55% stated charge. We're still pulling around 115 kilowatts, which is honestly a pretty good number for this stated charge. All right, our 10 to 80% charge test is in, and we got 27 minutes 10 to 80%, which is actually very, very impressive. In fact, I preconditioned the battery probably only 10 minutes before charging, and we were still able to get 10 to 80% in just 27 minutes. For a 400 volt battery pack EV, this is a deeply impressive number, and compared to my experience in the Gen 1 Subaru Solterra, this car is a massive improvement in the charging and range categories. These improvements are seriously impressive, and now I'm excited to get this thing out on the road and see how it drives. Driving the Subaru Solterra. Quick acceleration run. It's fine. The Solterra weighs in at around 4,354 pounds, which is fine. It's not as heavy as some electric crossovers on the market. I really don't have an issue with that weight. And it makes 233 horsepower as standard, which is fine. The acceleration is fine. I don't know, maybe it feels a little bit better than the first gen, but it's really not that significant to make a huge difference. Dynamically, there are some changes with the new Solterra. Subaru says that it has improved the suspension. The ride quality in here is very comfortable. The suspension does a great job of soaking up bumps, and I like the way that the steering wheel feels. It's relatively responsive, but it's also very natural with your steering inputs. The brake pedal feels pretty good, and we get 4 levels of regen. So you can have it to level 0 regen, where if you let off the accelerator pedal, the car will coast like an internal combustion engine vehicle would, or you can go to level 4 regen, which supplies a decent amount of deceleration when you let off. This accelerator pedal and regen is tuned very well, though the one thing I don't like about this at all is that there is no way to disable creep mode. So the Subaru Solterra will always drive with creep mode turned on, so that means whenever you put in drive, it will always creep forward, which I really don't like. It just makes it more of a hassle when you're in traffic, how you need to use both pedals as opposed to one. During the recent rainstorms California had, I was able to take this off-road, and I think it did a relatively good job. We have a good amount of ground clearance, and I really like that we have an actual weight depth rating. Once again, the approach angle could be improved a little bit. The front overhang on this vehicle is very large, so I would really like to see shorter overhang so we could get better approach angles, because I think generally this car is relatively off-road capable. Pulling out of this corner in power mode. Yeah, it's really quick up to like 40, and then the power starts to taper off. I think the acceleration is going to be fine for most people buying this car though. The road holding abilities in the Solterra are actually pretty good. I think this thing can do a relatively impressive job through corners. In terms of safety features, we get Subaru's what they call EyeSight suite, and we get adaptive cruise control and lane centering, so you can have the car basically drive itself on the highway. You will need to put your hands on the wheel like for every 10 or 15 seconds or so, but I think it does a pretty good job of centering yourself in the lane. It's just not very good around corners, so if there is some curvature to the road you're on, the Solterra really doesn't like handling that. One cool thing I do appreciate about this EyeSight suite is that we do get hands-free driving, true hands-free driving, though it only works under 40 miles per hour, and it's called traffic jam assist. So if you are in a traffic jam environment and you are driving under 40 miles per hour, then you can turn it on. You can take your hands off the wheel. You just have to look forward because there's a little camera above the steering wheel, and then you get hands-free driving under 40 miles per hour. Overall, this driving experience is pretty good. We have a decent amount of safety features. This car is very comfortable to drive. The suspension is nice. It's very quiet on the inside. It feels pretty normal. If you're coming from a Subaru Outback, you've had that for years, and then you get into this, it's not going to be a paradigm shifting interior and driving experience to get used to. I think it feels relatively normal in that respect. I really wish this car had one pedal driving, but I think other than that, this is a comfortable car to drive around in. And that's the Subaru Solterra. I gotta be honest, my first experience with a 2023 Subaru Solterra was not very good. I was unimpressed with the software, the range, the charging, the performance, and pretty much everything about the car. It was very underwhelming. But this new 2026 Solterra definitely kicks things up a massive notch. We now have relatively competitive range, a lot better charging, a much better software experience. You can now adjust the current, adjust the battery maximum percentage you want the car to charge up to, and the pricing is way better. The Subaru Solterra is definitely not the perfect EV. I still wish it had one pedal driving and perhaps a little bit better approach angle. But for the most part, this car is really, really improved. And it's rare to find a manufacturer that not only dramatically improves a car's capabilities, but also lowers the price by $6 grand. To say the least, I am very impressed with the Subaru Solterra's glow up. This thing is actually pretty competitive now, and I'm really excited to see the future Subaru products, including the Trailseeker and the Uncharted. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the subscribe button. Alternatively, you can name your second-born child EverCars Official.